All right, brother.
Here
Karl,
we go.
We're rolling.
Here we
We
go.
were just talking for like a half hour before this.
I feel like we could
Action
talk
recording.
for, we got an hour and a half here. I think we could talk for like 4 hours.
Yeah,
probably.
dude. I know. So thankfully you took the Mets hat off too.
Dude, that's just a respect thing to you. Like, I have been texting my friends, like, they don't know why I'm in Philly or whatever. And I send them a picture of me in Philly with like the geotag in my Mets hat. And they're like, what are you doing down there? This series is over. I'm like, just drove down to walk around Philly with my Mets hat on. But
That's pissed a lot of people off.
that's because
Yeah.
I have respect for you and this is your show. So I'm, it's all fun and games.
Yeah.
It's all fun
Yeah,
and
yeah.
games.
Yeah, dude. I can't believe the Phils ended up blowing that. But they didn't even blow it. That's what I was saying earlier. Like they didn't even blow it. It was just brutal.
Yeah. I mean,
They didn't even show up. Is what happened.
they ran into I don't think they played their best baseball. I think Nick Castellanos said it perfectly. I don't know if you caught his post-game interview, but the way he put it was give the Mets a ton of credit. That's a super hot team. He called out Jose Iglesias, the second baseman who made that song, and was like, what that dude did was nothing short of incredible. He made it more than just about baseball and something bigger than the Mets. Like he's rallying a whole city around something. And then give credit to the team that is super hot, turned around their season, playing great ball. He said, could we have done things better? Yes. Could we have done things differently? Yes. Do I think the Mets are a better team than us? No. Were they better than us this series? Yes. And as a dude who's like kind of sterilized to professional baseball, like I'm still a fan, don't get me wrong, but when you play as much baseball as we do and you have friends that are in the show and stuff, you kind of get the business side of it. Like these are just dudes going out there competing. Like what's a jersey, like what's Philly, what's New York? Like it kind of starts to blur like what really matters. Like why are we rooting for this team or that team? Like you see that side of it. But the rivalry is real, and I still don't like the Phillies. My whole life I don't like the Phillies.
Right back at you. Dude.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
I hate the Mets and
it's real.
all Mets fans actually.
Exactly.
So
exactly right. And like there's been that for my whole life, and I had to listen to Nick Castellanos say that and be like, respect, dude. Like that's a mature answer. You're a professional. And Nick Castellanos is a great ball player.
yeah.
And I think he said it perfectly. Like, Phillies could have played better, but this time, my team was finally better.
Yeah.
Finally.
That's all right. They'll lose to the Padres anyway in the next.
We'll see, dude. We'll see.
We'll see what happens tomorrow, actually, with the Dodgers or Padres. But
We'll see what happens, dude. We'll see
anyway,
what happens.
yeah. Castellanos, he's a deep thinker too, Castellanos. So what you're talking about,
you see
I watched
his,
a bunch of his stuff, like
The Scooby-Doo
over the
thing?
years. Oh yeah.
I love that. When he finishes it with, like, he just says correct, and to our listeners who don't know what the video is, like,
Yeah.
you gotta look it up, but just Google Nick Castellanos, Scooby-Doo. It's a good matter-of-fact interview.
Yep, it is. So we'll cap the Phillies Mets talk for now.
Yeah, for now.
But dude, thanks for driving down from. Where'd you drive down from?
Red
the
Bank,
city?
New Jersey.
From Red Bank.
Yeah,
Okay,
Red
because you're
Bank.
from Tom's River. We got some mutual buddies.
Yeah.
Font.
It's a small, the baseball
Brett
world
Font.
is small.
Yeah.
Like once you, I think if you get to like college, Division I college baseball, you can play the name game like all day long. Like even if I grew up an hour and a half from you, so we could do it like literally all day long. Even if we were from like California, New Jersey, you start to just realize how small the baseball world is.
It's a small world. It really is. I know the Shore Conference because I played in the Interac. You know what that?
Yeah, dude,
That
you
is-
must know Jimmy Heron then.
That's not the Interac.
That's not the Interac.
That's the Catholic League.
That's the Catholic.
The
League.
Interac's
Yeah.
better.
Okay, my bad.
Just
Okay,
kidding.
how about-
It's
how
close,
about,
but
Interac is
Interac's like Malvern, Germantown Academy, Episcopal, Haverford.
Newman's
Newman's
Ready?
also the Catholic League.
Catholic League. Damn. How about Kenny Koplov? He's South Philly kid.
Penn Charter, yeah.
That's
Oh yeah, he
That's
went to Duke. Yeah.
yeah. He
So that was
our
your teammate
shortstop.
at Duke.
Yeah, he was a shortstop my
Okay.
freshman sophomore year.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Okay.
Great guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know him super well personally, but
Phillies fan.
we would always battle. Yeah.
Like you, we don't hold it against him.
Fair enough. Yeah, he threw like that submarine. I remember, yeah, because I was like surprised that he was playing shortstop at Duke because he was a pitcher against us. I mean, he was a great player, but
just an all around great athlete. Yeah, he was a unique dude. He would do this thing where he was always pulling down, like pull downs like were hot when we were in college. And before he would get on the, like in game, we could be playing Carolina. There could be 5,000 people in the stands. He comes out of the bullpen, and his first thing he does is gets behind the mound, sprints at the mound, and pulls down at the catcher like 102.
It's like Trevor. Was it? Didn't Trevor Bauer do that, or who did that?
It sounds like a Trevor Bauer thing.
UCLA.
Sounds like a Trevor Bauer thing. Yeah. Has to be.
Yeah, there you go. Just psycho. But
Kenny Cowboy was a psycho.
Yeah. So, dude, yeah, pumped to talk to you, man, because we're doing something a little bit similar. You're doing it with JDS. Kind of gave you the backstory of why I started this. I think this is 48 or so. So we've had a couple mutual guests, and Brenneman, Adam White.
Also, dude, I have to say, you're a modest guy, because when you reached out to me, I got the impression like you came to me saying, hey, like I'm doing something similar. Can we share notes, talk, like get to know each other, right? And then I hop on the call with you. You were so modest. Like my impression was like, oh, this guy's like asking me for advice. He's just like getting going. And then I looked you up. I was like, motherfucker, he's done 50 episodes.
And still asking for advice. I don't know what that says.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Because yours is like so legit. This is the second one in here. Yeah. And you just look at yours at the, like you have the intro and all that stuff down. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm on my computer, like hacking away. I have no idea what I'm doing. But yeah, we're doing something similar. Both played baseball, the whole thing. But yeah.
No, I was just going to say that, like, I think it's cool what you're doing, like relative to what I'm doing, because, somebody came to me, like my bosses came to me and were like, this is a good idea. Would you want to do it? We can help you. We can put some money into it. And I was like, absolutely. It sounds like something I would love to do. For you, I think, you work in a different world, right? You work in insurance, right? And this is something you just want to do and start yourself. So I think that's sick. You can say mine looks really good. Like, yeah, I think it does look good, and I had some help, but for you to cover that ground, doing the virtuals, and then be like, all right, I want to start like spending more money because I care about this, and like I'm getting better and stepping up, and I think you'll keep going. But different ways we got here, but
yeah, dude, yeah. So hopefully spending some of the money will pay off. Not that it even has to, but we'll see. We'll see. If
nothing else, it's really fun.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it really is. You haven't released one in a little bit.
Yeah, that's right, dude.
Or what? How'd it go yesterday? You were just doing one.
Yeah, I did one yesterday. This dude, his name is Andrew Laughlin. He's awesome. He's actually from Pennsylvania. He is the founder of a company called Sauna House. They are like a bathhouse, hot, cold therapy, sauna, cold plunge. At JDS, where I work, we invest in sports, media, entertainment, private companies. And then a few years ago, I'd say even less than a few years ago, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, the like aha moment kind of went on for us, where it's like health and wellness is a serious thing going on in our country that sports and athletes play a big role in. Like, let's start doing the homework and getting involved in that. And this is one of a handful of investments that JDS Sports has made to make that bet on health and wellness. And Andrew Laughlin was an awesome guest. He's a great founder. He's almost like a cult leader, and like I don't say that in a bad way. I say that like in the best way possible. Where he's just like so charismatic. He's like a benevolent cult leader. Like he's got a great value base, and he's so charismatic, and he's doing all the homework. Like he's not spinning up answers out of his head, and we're pretty pumped about this one. We just announced the investment. It's fresh. Yeah.
That's great, dude. That's awesome. I feel like everybody in the health and wellness space is charismatic.
Yeah.
It seems like, or at least on social media.
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
Most good founders are, a lot.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That's one of the cool parts about my job, where we invest in early stage companies. Founders, at least good ones, like they're impressive people, man. I mean, if you're starting a company, like already 1 point for you, because like that takes bravery, takes time and effort. Like it's a crazy game to try and start something from scratch. But if you can figure that stuff out and you can bring your vision to fruition, you're a really impressive person. It's so hard. And, that's one of the best parts about my job is I get to like really rub shoulders with these people and learn from them. And now with the podcast, I get to talk to them.
It's like awesome.
One-on-one, like this. It's great.
I feel like you have to have a delusional confidence, like self-confidence, right?
You have to, dude. And like, that's something I deal with personally is like, I hold myself to a high standard. I have all these ambitions as an athlete too. I was a great athlete, but like looking in the mirror and being like, can I really do this? Like, what was a struggle for me,
Yeah.
And I try and learn how everybody gets there differently. I think, everybody kind of has their own software in their head, their own programming. And for some people, it's easier to be that person that can just go and kill and get things done. And then other people have to like learn and coach themselves how to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn from the people, the athletes that I've been around. And now the business leaders that I'm around, like, how do you get there? How do you get to that mindset?
Right. I feel like we're cut from this similar cloth in that sense, because probably maybe for you, like at least in high school, you're probably one of the better high school players in your area, right? And you're going to Duke. Similar for me. Like I was really good in high school and everything, and then you kind of get to a point where, or at least I got to Seton Hall, and it was a wake up call. Dude. It was like, everybody's the best player from their high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I definitely at times took steps back in the confidence. Like there would be flashes of it, and then it would be like, dude, I feel like I'm playing the right sport right now. It's like, it's insane. So I know that's part of your journey too, which like we'll get into, but yeah.
Yeah, it's 100% part of my journey. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's something I think about all of the time. And I don't say this to brag. I think it's like almost actually a negative thing. Like, we don't have to get into that, but like, I'm physically different. I am 6'4". I'm very fast. I'm very explosive. I can throw a baseball 98 miles an hour, right? Like, and then I have to ask myself, it's like Formula One racing. You have a really good car. Who's driving this car, man? Like, why is this car not winning races? And like at some points in my life, like we were winning races, and then like, who's driving that car? And then other times in my life, it's like, I can't throw a strike. What's going on? Who's driving that car? And the confidence thing, like the looking around, the focus, like there's so many pieces to that. And it's over for me now. Like baseball's over, and that's been a whole learning process thing for me. And it's for everybody, dude. It's like not a sad thing, that's normal, but it's over for me now. But I still think about it a lot, like, cause there are lessons to be had there. I think I have a good car too. Like, my physical car was really good. My go find something else to do outside of baseball. I think I have a good car too, in a brain and my capabilities. But it's like, who's going to drive this? How do we get the right mindset, the right focus to live up to the potential? Because a lot of the time I look back at the baseball career and I'm like, it's not a good place to be. You don't want to get caught there, but you also kind of want to diagnose, like, why didn't you do what you thought you could do? Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I've never heard that analogy either. Yeah, you weren't driving a Nissan Sentra like me.
Outside. No, yeah, it was never
driving a good car. But yeah, I it's like, like when you're not in control, you lose control of it a little bit. I don't know.
That's literally what it felt like, dude. Where there were times where I was on the mound and I'm just reaching back, I'm looking at the glove, and good luck trying to hit it, you know? And then there's other times like I don't know where I am in space. I don't know where my body is in space. Like I can't feel my body. Why is that? You know? And there were times where I was really anxious, and it kind of made sense. It was like, dude, I'm so nervous. I'm putting so much pressure on myself. Then there was other times it's like, I'm pretty calm. Like I'm not really freaking out. Like, why aren't I performing? Like, why don't I feel good right now?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been a whole journey in you know, me growing up, and sports is an awesome arena to learn about yourself, you know, to really like see what you're made of and see what you need to work on, and you know, figure out just who you are, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The crazy thing about that too is like, you think that you should have the whole story mapped out almost. Like for you, I'm sure you're like, all right, dude, I'm 6'4", what are you, 230 or more?
Nah, yeah, I apologize. I'm different now. I'm like
an absolute,
yeah, I'm less
probably freak. And you're like, all right, dude, I should be headed to the big leagues. And that's sometimes the cards, you know, are the chips don't fall that way, you know,
yeah.
Which is,
yeah, dude. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
kind of belabor on that point, but that's part of why I ended up starting this, is because I'm like, dude, there was still some, I thought, untapped. And maybe that's just because, like you said, you kind of hold yourself to a high standard. Like you're tough on, for me, it's like, you're tough on yourself. But
did you get nervous when you played baseball?
When it came to a certain point, yeah.
And like, what did nervous mean for you? Like, because for some people, when you ask them, like, if you ask Francisco Lindor, you know, not to rub it in, it was the first thing that came to my mind. If you ask Francisco Lindor if he gets nervous, he might say yes. He might say yes, and his performance would say that nervousness is good. You know, like it brings your heart rate up. It gets you your attention. You focus. And then other people, when you say, "Do you get nervous?" they might say yes, and then you look at the performance, it's like, well, you're throwing the ball off the backstop. You look super nervous, you know?
Yeah, right.
So like, what was it for you? Like, how did you feel? Were you like shaky? Were you?
Yeah, dude. I mean, definitely the heart rate would go up.
Yeah,
which, like you're saying, could be a good thing for a guy like Lindor or Bryce Harper. But they're probably able to, like Bryce Harper. I bet if you looked at his heart rate when he's in the box against the Padres a couple years ago, it would probably be like, dude, how is that even possible? How is that low? But now that's an extreme example. But for me, so I think I always think about, like, a recurring theme that's come up is like preparation. It's like, if you're not 100%, prepared, 100%. But I don't think that was ever really the case for me, because it's like, yeah, dude, you're in the cage, you're taking hacks, you're taking ground balls, but maybe in like the kind of preparation. So it'd be like, I would be taking ground balls, but it would be, maybe there wouldn't be as much intent behind it. Yeah. At least that's what I'm thinking right now, 7-8 years removed. But your question, it would be like just a lack of trusting the abilities, pretty much. And like probably thinking too much of what other people would perceive the failure as, honestly.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I think about that a lot too, in the sense of, if I was playing an individual sport, I wondered if I would have had the same kind of like internal stuff going on. Because for me, I cared a lot about making my coach happy. I liked my coach. He was an instrumental person in my life, and he feeds his kids with wins. That's literally how he feeds his kids. Like he would say it to us, and like he was tough on us and like laid it out for you, which I appreciated. You know, I like people like that give you the truth. Like, I'm here to win, and that's how I feed the family. So I wanted to make him happy, and I loved my teammates, dude. Like, we were after a meaningful goal. They were my brothers. I didn't want to let the team down. Coming in the 7th inning, we're up or on. I got to hold the game. It's like, that made me nervous, because it wasn't just about me. It was about a lot of people, you know? So like, sometimes I think about, maybe if I was in tennis or golf, I wouldn't have had these same kinds of reactions. That might be an oversimplification, you know, that might be just a crazy thing to say, because I still would have cared, but I think you're onto something there for sure.
Yeah. So I was reading the article, and like, Yeah, I was going to say we can backtrack to it at some point, but I was reading that article. So Luke Melms, did you connect with him at some point? Like it's funny. What's the story behind that article?
So first thing I have to say about the article, Luke Melms is a great dude.
Yeah,
he reached out to me.
Yeah.
And he was kind of baseball and business is the name of what he started, right? And he was just getting that going at that point in time. It was probably 2019, 2018. And I just finished at Rutgers, played a little bit of indie ball, and just started my career at JDS. So he probably like found me on LinkedIn or something. It's like, oh, here's a baseball player that maybe has an interest in what he was building. Asked me to write something, and I had always liked writing, so I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for me. So thank you, Luke, for that. What I hate about that article is I was a kid and I didn't know any better, and I wrote the whole article. I turned it in, and I didn't put a title on it. Like I just didn't think to. Didn't know how it was going to be presented, whatever. And Luke titled it, and I think it's titled. What is it titled? You know, it's titled. Is it like The Battle Against Myself? Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's about. I hate the title. I hate that title, dude. It's a tough title, man.
I figured you came up with that.
No, Luke put that title on it, dude, and like,
damn it, Luke.
Dude, but you know what? It's my fault. You know, it's like I didn't title it. You know, and he had to come up. He's probably like, this freaking kid didn't title what he wrote. Like I got to come up with a title, and then it's not. You know, it's not his job. He throws something on there, and like it fits. Like The Battle Against Myself doesn't not make sense with what I wrote.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, so that's kind of how that article.
But the article itself is good.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't so I'm doing the podcasting thing now. I've written a few things and published a few things. Not many, probably less than 5. I can't go back and read anything that I write or even the podcast that I put out more than like once. Like I'll watch the podcast when it's fresh and make sure for edits, you know, we're gonna not put trash out. But then like I can't go back and read what I wrote. I can't look at myself. Are you like that, or like
I'm similar?
Me?
Yeah, I'm similar. Yeah, like at times I want to go back just for the purpose of like watching the tape, so to speak.
Yeah,
but I'll edit it, put it out there. I haven't even listened to my own podcast episodes. Probably get my viewership up a little bit, but
same, dude. Like I guess I do one time.
Done once, yeah.
I do one time to make
one
sure.
Time through.
And then I can't. I don't know. It's like I don't know if that's self-consciousness or like too critical of myself. I think, especially something like that article that's now 5 years old. I just know what's going to happen. I'm going to be like, what was I thinking at that point in time? Like, this sounds weak, this sounds silly, and so like I won't go back and read it, but no, I think that was a crazy point in my life, because it was when I was beginning to let go of baseball, you know. So appreciate you bringing it up, and even though I don't go back and like read those things, I want to keep doing them. You know, like that, like I've just kind of accepted, like, okay, this is how I deal with it. Like, I don't want to go back and read it, but I'm not going to stop writing stuff. Or I'm not going to like stop doing the podcast. So much good comes out of it. Like you bringing it up now, I think it's good. But yeah, it was a crazy point in my life where, for me, you know, nothing out of the ordinary. Generally speaking, everybody hangs it up at some point, you know. But like we were talking about on the way in, I have a whole life outside of baseball now. But I very much identify and always will as a ball player. I'm obsessed with it. It's always on my mind. And at that point in my life, I was finished Duke in 2017. Thought I was going to get drafted. I had a very up and down career at Duke. You know, things we're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
Great arm, tons of strikeouts. Scouts show up. They're like, here's the questionnaire. Here's the interview. I'm on the radar, right? And then I disappear for a year where I'm just walking a dude an inning or whatever it is. Coach can't pitch me. And then I'm going through this whole thing. And senior year, I finally put it together. I think I led our team in ERA my senior year. Throwing like a, 93 mile an hour heater, striking a fair amount of dudes out. But like still out of the bullpen, I only threw like 30 innings. But I thought it was enough. I was like, okay, these guys have been following me since I was in high school. And I finally put together a full season in this bullpen, helping this team win. I'm going to get drafted. Didn't happen. Eventually made the decision to go play at Rutgers, where I don't know what happened at Rutgers. It's kind of like what I was saying earlier, where sometimes I knew why I was bad. I was so anxious. At Rutgers, I wasn't really anxious. I was just bad. It was weird. I don't know if it was all the change in my routines and like going to a new school, all these different things that were happening. And baseball kind of took like a preparation afterthought. It wasn't an afterthought, but like just there's a lot of change happening. Like my fastball was down. It's like throwing 88-mile-an-hour heaters. It wasn't as good. And like I knew I wasn't getting drafted after that year. Gave it my run at indie ball. Pitched really bad there for like a month. Got released. And at that point, it's kind of like I'm throwing low 90s on a good day. Can't throw a strike. I've been throwing low 90s since I was a sophomore in high school. This is probably it for me. Like I just have to give it up. And luckily had that great opportunity at JDS to go like find something meaningful to do with myself, you know, to give all this energy that I was putting into baseball into something that mattered. I thought mattered and still think really matters and really happy to be doing. And then Luke shows up and he's like, hey dude, I have this I have this media company where we talk to baseball players that are like getting out into the business world. You want to write something? I'm like, I got a lot to write, man. I'm like, I got a lot to talk about. I got a lot to talk about.
Couldn't put a title on it though. So
couldn't put a title on it.
That's funny. So then at what point, because then, so you're working for JDS, and then at what point did you must have felt like you still had more in the tank and still wanted to play? Or what, was that during COVID that you were like, so this is kind of maybe jumping ahead a couple years.
No, it's fine.
You went out to Missoula.
Yeah, it's all connected. It's all part of the same story, you know?
Yeah.
The crazy part, like, so, you know, for anybody that doesn't know me, that's like watching this, I finished playing ball that, you know, 2018 after finishing the college season in at Rutgers in 2018, my 5th year I played there. I played a little bit of indie ball, didn't work out, went right into working. And just I had a good opportunity. Like, this is like an opportunity at JDS Sports that it didn't feel like I was quitting baseball. It felt like I was moving on to something that really matters, you know, and it was. That's what it was. But always was thinking about baseball. But you're moving to the city, living in a, you know, 500 square foot apartment.
Shoebox.
Yeah, there's no parks around. There's nobody to play catch with. I'm riding a subway to work. I'm riding a subway home. I'm not like staying in shape, you know. Like I was just forgetting about it. But baseball always stuck with me. And my dad is, you know, he's my best friend. He's my dude. Always was like, you should still be throwing. You should still be throwing. But it just wasn't practical, right? And COVID happened, and that kind of changed things. And eventually, you know, the end of the story is I years later, 5 years later, 2023, 4 years later, I ended up going back and playing baseball. But the way I got there was definitely because of COVID. Moved out of the city. The work from home lifestyle gave me hours of the day back where I wasn't traveling and I wasn't distracted with all the things that were happening in New York City. And I think at first, I don't know if you were the same way, but when baseball ended, I couldn't watch it. Like I couldn't think about it. I had a couple good friends that were elevating their way through the minor leagues, and I could be there for them and like be there to hear about what was going on in their life. But for the most part, it just hurt, you know? And my dad would tell me to throw, and I'd be like, deep down, I knew I wanted to, but I was like, shut up, man. Like I'm dealing with it right now. I don't want to think about it, you know? Enough time had passed. And it's like, you know, 2020, and my neighbor growing up is in the Yankees organization back home in Tom's River. And he's like, dude, I gotta use this time where minor league baseball stopped to start throwing harder. Ron Marinaccio is his name.
Okay.
He's a big leaguer with the Yankees.
I know his name. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very good. Well, so he got DFA'd. He's with the White Sox
really?
now.
Oh, okay.
But at this point, he had like a career 3 ERA in the minors, getting ready to go back to spring training. COVID happens, and he's like, dude, I gotta go back to camp throwing 95, or like my career's gonna end. Will you get on this throwing program to run with me? And I started doing it, and I watched him go from 90 to 97, and I saw him throw like his whole life. He's my best friend. I'm like, damn, this throwing program works for you. You went from 90 to 97. I used to be able to throw 93. I wonder what I have. And that kind of like was the,
I can get the 10
exactly
101.
it was like it was just enough to like push me to get going. Yeah. And I was having fun doing it. But that's kind of how it all happened. Like, that dude inspired the hell out of me. Cause the growth he made in that COVID off season, where I saw he was like a dog backed against a wall. He's like, if I go back there and I'm still throwing 90-mile-an-hour heaters, it doesn't matter about my 3 ERA. Yeah. It's done. And I saw him work really hard, and I was like, I wonder if I ever worked that hard. Did I work that hard? Maybe not. And then I don't know. I just did it with him and saw a little bit of progress. So kept seeing a little bit of progress. Eventually started throwing 97-mile-an-hour heaters in my garage. And I was like, I got to go back and play. But yeah, dude, it's wild. It's like the separation of me playing baseball in 2023, and then that whole life I lived from the time I was 5 to the time I was 22, like that, and then that like 5-year gap is just, it's hard to talk about and like compress, because it's just so much that happened in that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's insane. Because yeah, for me, when I like my senior year at Seton Hall, dude, I was like, I was done. I was toast. I'm like, I'm ready to start working and spending time down in Sea Isle, like going to the bars and having fun with your buddies and everything like that. But yeah, like had opportunity to play indie ball, and I was like, dude, no way.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm ready to start working.
I totally get that, man.
I wonder if did you feel that same way before you started working for JDS? Were you like, well, you said that you're like, I couldn't even watch baseball. But it's just funny that well, it's not funny, but you still had the itch to go back. Like, dude, not many people, I don't know, not many people would do that.
I love baseball, man. I love it, and yeah, for me, like I was never really done with baseball. I was just kind of frustrated with myself more than anything, Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a little bit of it too, though, because it's like when you're 22 years old and you got damn good at that game, and at that point to get any better is really hard. There are reasons why I was able to find that 97-mile-an-hour heater. It's because we got smarter. There were innovations in pitching. That's part of it too, right? Mm. Like when I was back home throwing with Ron, the Yankees put him on this velo program. This was shit I'd never seen before, and there were unlocks there, but that stuff gets frustrating, man. When you're 20 years old, you've been doing something for 15 years. When you're 14 to 15, you grow 10 inches or whatever, you grow 5 inches and you start throwing harder. You start hitting bombs. When you're junior, senior, or high school or college, 21 to 22, how do you get better? It's not so straightforward. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I was in 2023. It's like, or I'm sorry, when I was 23 in like 2019, it was kind of like, I just don't know how to get better. So I guess I'm going to hang this up. It wasn't really like I was done with baseball. It was more like, I guess I just don't have it. That was more of that, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah. But that's what guys that are willing to, I think, experiment with different types of things and like are open to changing a little bit to acknowledge, you know what I mean? Like you're a senior, you're like, all right, dude, I'm hitting 240. This is actually me. Hitting 240. And then it's like the power numbers are going up. So you're figuring something out, but you're still hitting 240 because you're so damn inconsistent.
Yeah.
Like you have to be willing to change something because something's not working, or like seek out the information from somebody. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I don't
dude,
know.
hitting is so weird. I was a pretty good hitter. Some of my first scholarship offers were to hit. I don't know how that would have gone for me because I think it's like a different mental ball game than pitching. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of the same stuff matters. Like, you got to be focused, you got to be process oriented. Mental toughness is mental toughness on both sides of that battle, the hitter versus pitcher battle. But there's something to be said about like the pitcher's supposed to get you out. And I think that does different things to people's brains, you know? Like for me, it was actually
On the mound or
on
at the plate?
but like, so like both sides
Both.
of this coin, like that does something like it's expectation,
Mhm.
right? And expectation does different things to people's heads. The expectation is pitcher's supposed to be able to throw a strike. The hitter, the expectation is you got to get a hit every 3 out of 10, you know? So it's like, and as a pitcher, you can, or as a hitter, you can kind of disappear for small pockets. You can't disappear for long. You know, eventually, if you keep going over 3, like that gets seen, but the pitcher has nowhere to hide, you know? So it's like a little bit different of a mental game. You are also, as the hitter, reacting to the pitcher, and the pitcher is setting the tone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas, like, I don't really need to think about you in the box. I need to think about, like, I need to throw that ball to that glove and pretend you're not there. Whereas hitting is like, you can't control the variables. Like, that might go over there. He might throw this. He might throw that. There's like a whole different decision matrix. It's just like a different, we're playing the same sport. There's a reason, like, pitchers and hitters are so different.
Yeah.
It's so different.
No, it's true. And you also can't be thinking about all that. Like,
Yeah,
second
you
you
can't.
step in the box, yeah, that goes back to the preparation. So I don't know. It's funny just like talking through some of this stuff because coaching the last couple of years, like the further removed you get from playing baseball,
Yeah.
the tougher it is to like just understand how hard. That's what there was a coach that I played for. You won't even know Eric Duncan. Does that name mean anything to you? He was like our volunteer assistant at Seton Hall.
Sounds familiar.
He got drafted by the Yankees like in the first round.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Seton Hall prep, whatever.
Yep.
But he would kind of say that it'd be like the further you get removed, like he would be like, dude, making a routine play in baseball, it's hard. Like it's not easy to do. And now you kind of get removed from that. And like I don't know how much longer I'm going to coach. Like kind of want to do some other things at this point, but like you forget how difficult of a game it is.
It's a crazy game, dude. I watch these big leaguers. They smoke 110 mile an hour ground balls at them, and they field them at a 99% clip, automatic. It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's one of the things about baseball that I struggled with was the expectation. The hitter is not expected to be perfect. And that's not like your job is easy. Your job is like super hard. Hitting is really hard, but we understand that, right? But fielding, you're expected to be perfect. Pitching, you're not expected to be perfect, but like you got to be able to throw strikes. Like you're expected to be able to throw strikes. And I struggled with those two things. That expectation I struggled with a ton of like, I'm going to look really stupid if this ball goes through my legs at shortstop, but it's like not that easy. And I would think about it.
Yeah.
And the same thing on the mound. It's like, I'm going to look really stupid if I walk 3 guys in a row. And at different points in my career, was thinking about that way too much.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So then, all right. What did that look like on the flip side then? Like, because we've both thought about that.
Yeah.
That side of it
we talked about
so like
sucking
talking about sucking and like feeling like shit for a while. But like,
yeah.
on the flip side, there's flashes of really good things that happen.
Totally, dude. No, I think I made great gains, dude. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because
then you went and pitched in Missoula, and I don't know how you did out there.
I did
Was
all
it
right.
good or
Yeah, I did all
okay?
right.
Like, what did it look like when you were awesome?
Yeah, dude. They're like. That's a great way to flip this conversation too, because I think we identified like what a lot of people. And I think that's like a meaningful discussion because a lot of people are going through that and can relate to that. And then the question is like, okay, this is real. How do you address it, right? And I was really thankful. I've been blessed with really good leaders in my life from the time I was born. My mom and dad, great leaders. As I grew up, I don't take that for granted anymore. My dad had great things to say to me always. The power of optimism is something he always talks about. Just expect good things to happen. Or if nothing else, expect to have fun. This is going to be fun. We're playing baseball. We're doing a podcast today. Like, go into that like, damn, that's fun with optimism. You'll probably get a better outcome. And that dude's been living his life like that his whole life. And his results are good. And I wish I had more of that. I'm trying to have more of that optimism that partnered with the hard work. Those are his two things. Optimism and hard work go a long way. If you're just grinding and you're preparing, like you said earlier, you're going to feel better. If you go into things like this is going to be fun, you're probably going to get better results. So that from my dad as a leader, that's something I tried to, as your dad. So like, I don't know if you have a similar thing with your pops, but sometimes you black him out. And then as I got older, I was like, he's so right about that. Like, he's just so right. And then at Duke, it was like mental toughness boot camp. That was Chris Pollard, our baseball coach, who grew me up a ton. That dude means so much to me. And it felt like it was the exact thing I needed because it was the thing I was struggling with. I got the guy who was going to make everything about it. It was actually perfect. And at first it spooked me because it's like, oh man, he's calling out my fears. He knows what I'm afraid of. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what to do. But the thing that made him a good leader was he wasn't pointing the finger at everybody and saying, you're all scared and you stink. He was saying, we're all dealing with fear. How do we address it? And that's what he made a very big part of Duke baseball growth about. And it's a lot of the same things, man. And for him, it was process oriented. Like, there's a difference between a process and a ritual. When you're on the mound, be a creature of habit. What gets you into that right mindset with your preparation? What gets you into that right mindset with your arm slot? Like, these little details matter. Process oriented and attention to detail were things that he preached all the time, and things that by the time I was a junior, it was like really starting to buy into, and help me deal with like, okay, what's happening to me right now? How do I address it? Having a kind of a toolkit, a plan. Yesterday we had, the Saw in the House guy on, and we were talking about earlier. He loves talking about breath work. Everybody deals with anxiousness. Like, it's like a real world.
I think I stopped breathing now.
Yeah. It's like
until you think about that, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was another thing Coach Pollard had us doing, where we were going to yoga, and we're like, why the hell are we doing yoga? Like, we got so many things going on at Duke baseball. Like, this guy's programming our entire life, and now he wants to carve out another hour of our time for yoga. And it was about breath work. It was about controlling your heart rate, centering your focus. These like these little tools that, I don't know, everybody has a different relationship with, but started to work for me. Yeah.
How do you how do you separate that from being like, quote unquote, still normal? You know what I mean? Like, not so what am I trying to say? Like,
neurotic.
Woo, yeah, and I guess not neurotic, but like woo maybe type of stuff. Be like,
that's a great question.
Breath work.
That's
and all
a
this
great
stuff,
question, dude.
This is all stuff that I think about pretty frequently these days, but don't really talk to anybody about that. Like, I'm into all this stuff.
I had this conversation
but
yesterday.
It's still not. I don't know, because dude, coming from a Division I college baseball locker room, you're really not talking about your feelings or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not that really fits exactly into what we're saying, but
no, I get what you're saying though. Like,
finding a routine,
To me, like, okay, so this is the example I would have us all picture. I'm on the baseball mound. I can't throw strikes. Somebody's telling me to talk nice to myself in my head and use mantras. I am prepared. Calm yourself down. You are prepared. You are prepared. And to me, in my head, it's like, that's woo-woo bullshit. Like, you're saying woo-woo, like, right? I'm lying to myself. Like now my head's spiraling and I'm thinking less about pitching, and like that's a bad place to be, right?
Yeah.
The thing that switched my head and got me to buy in to whatever you're saying to yourself in your head, and I probably never was actually saying anything like that in my head. It was more so just like in, out. The things that made me buy in on that were, I'm a logic-based person. I try and lean on logic because like, show me the data, like that makes me comfortable. And then somebody shows you the science of when you take deep breaths, your heart rate has a reaction. The rate that oxygen is getting into your lungs and then going to your blood changes your physio, whatever you call it, right? Science. And when your heart rate is at 120 plus, you're not throwing strikes, dude.
Yeah, you're in some
You're
trouble.
freaking out.
Yeah.
But if you have tools to focus on your breath that can lower your heart rate, you can pitch better. That was how I started to buy in. It took me time to like get there because we used to do these things. I'd be like, I can't throw strikes, and this is what you're making me do. Like, this makes no sense. Like, I'm just lying to myself. Like, you want me to talk this way to myself? It's stupid, woo-woo. And then when Pollard and my mom and my dad, my mom is Vietnamese, and she's like very Zen. She would show me things like this. I'd be like, oh shit, they're on to something. Like this is like science-based. This is like facts, you know?
Yeah.
And then I bought in.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's interesting. Because I don't think I ever did any of that. Well, I probably tried. I don't even remember at this point. I probably tried it all. Tried all in the books.
Dude, the shit kids do to try and like, baseball players in particular, the shit that they will do to try and change their vibe, to try and change their momentum to get good. Because when you're going hot in baseball, you're going hot, man. You feel like you can conquer the world.
Oh, yeah, you can do anything.
Trying to like just jabu, you know, your way into hits or into strikes. Like, you see everything under the sun.
It's true though. Yeah.
So let's say, how do you separate? Like, am I jabu, worshiping a false god in the clubhouse, asking for hits, or am I doing something that actually makes sense? And like that was kind of the switch that happened.
Evidence-based stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, how does that translate now into what you're doing with JDS? Like all those principles, probably the stuff that was in, you know, stuff in that. What did they call? What was the name of it again? The battle against myself.
The battle against myself.
Like, how do you translate the stuff that happened in baseball into JDS? I mean, there's so many similarities to, and that's what baseball and business, like
totally,
athletes after sports, you see all this stuff. And as I've been doing this, you come across, or maybe it's because it's what I'm seeking out and everything, like athletes into sports and everything. For me, dude, so here's what I think. I think, yeah, all those things translate into sports or into life after sports, baseball, the morning lifts, the teammate, like all that. But if it's not into something that like you care about, it doesn't matter.
Totally, dude.
Maybe that's just my point of view. Maybe that's small-minded, but you know what I mean? So how does that translate for you? JDS and find what you want to do.
Dude, there's so many parallels. I mean, I don't like, it's my foundation. Baseball is my foundation. It's how I learned to view the world. I was lucky, like I said, where I made that decision to leave baseball because JDS was such a really good opportunity. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, you know. Was learning about investing. My dad's always kind of had that brain around me, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like thinking about how these businesses grow and like how you can be capital instead of labor. Like that sounds cool. Like I had these like little seeds in my head, but you know, you could tell I was dialed in on ball. I was a soc major. I failed out of pre-med fast, you know, and then I was in soc and I was like, all right, I'm here to play ball. And then it's ending. What do I do? Met an awesome guy, Joe Sandberg, the dude I work for now. Peter Robert Casey and Matt Aronson, the two partners at the firm. And like you said, if it doesn't feel like it matters, then how do you get into it? I was lucky where I was interested in what these guys were doing. They were investing in companies that were in the sports world. I was like, okay, I can relate to that. This is cool. Like, this is baseline. Cool. I'm interested. And then on top of that, these dudes were just like really bright and just valued good men, like wanted to give me an opportunity to learn, let me do the little job, and started teaching me bigger jobs. And I'm so appreciative of that. In the same sense, like, it was a lot like baseball, where it's like, I got to perform here. You know, I feel the need to perform, and everything I do needs to be good so I can stick. You know, and it's a little different because there's not like, you know, we didn't play in the show or whatever, but 30 guys behind your back and 4,000 people in the stands, like, that's a little different than I'm writing, you know, our end of the quarter report, and it needs to be quality for the guys I work for, just in the eyeball sense. But like, there's still pressure to that, you know, and I want to make sure I'm doing it good. And at first I didn't know what I was doing. So I heavily leaned on things I learned in baseball, like, dude, just be willing to do any job, you know, be willing to do anything for the team. That's a point that counts, that matters, and people appreciate that. Show up on time, you know, like little things, like show up, do the extra thing. Those like little principles were really, dude, my foundation at first, because I didn't know what was going on. And there's like an infinite amount of lessons. The one thing too that I think I got from Coach Pollard at Duke was, when we showed up at Duke, he told everybody in our first meeting, I love you. And it sounds corny, right? But he's like, I love you. You chose to come show up at Duke baseball. And for that, I love you. And he said, you should look around and you should love the guy next to you. And trust me, like, this will be good for us. And I love those guys to this day. And we were better baseball players because we were playing for the guys that we loved. And it sounds corny, but like, I really do believe in that. I heard a quote actually like a week ago that like is also so corny, but like, I love it, is Rome was not beautiful, or Rome. Okay, here it is. Men did not love Rome because she was beautiful. She was beautiful because they loved her. So if you put the love into something, it becomes beautiful, not the other way around, you know? And if you look at what Duke baseball was before Coach Pollard showed up, it was not a pretty place.
Right. Yeah.
People did not love saying I was a Duke baseball player. He showed up, and if you go there now in 2024, it just got ranked like one of the top programs in college baseball. People love that program. That's something I tried to take into JDS Sports. Like, I love my job. I love these dudes. Like, they're giving me an opportunity. I love them for that. I'm going to have their back, you know? And like, that's really how it got going for me, man, where I learned a lot. Like, I feel more secure in my job now. Like, I kind of get what's going on.
Yeah.
But I had to get there, and like those baseline things helped me get there for sure. You know, helped me get there for sure.
Yeah.
And then there's also the presenting publicly, you know, doing a podcast now,
Talking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's things that get you nervous, and like
Getting over.
still relying on
Speaking in public. Yeah. What's still. Wait, sorry. Finish your.
no,
thought. Yeah.
that's it. It's just like still dealing with that like voice in the head of like, oh, I'm nervous. What do I do right now? Words got to come out of my mouth. I'm supposed to be prepared. You know?
You're supposed to be the Duke baseball graduate that
Exactly knows what's going on.
It's a good point, man. Because like I was saying to you before, I still haven't even really shared this. I mean, probably at some point here, but haven't been sharing it publicly. I'm not even really sure why. I think there's not like a conflict with my job really. It's not, you know, I don't want to give off that impression that like, I'm doing this because I don't like I don't want to give that vibe off at all. But it goes back to the same thing. It's like you think about what somebody else is going to say about or something like that, which who gives a shit, honestly. But
Yeah,
I mean, you should care about, you know what I mean? But
the way I look at that, dude, is like, I think I kind of get what you're saying. Do you like the people you work with?
Yeah.
The good people?
Yeah, it's good people.
And then my take is like, if the people you work with are like truly your homies, they got your back and they're your teammates, if you're doing something else, like they're going to be like stoked for you, you know? Like,
Yeah.
That's
true.
the way it should be. And I like my roommate in New York, he's like a ladder climber in corporate America. Like he's doing great. But 5 years ago, he was just like low level financial analyst, like trying to find his way. And he was really nervous about like telling his first boss, who he learned, like came to respect a ton, that like it was time for him to move on. And it was a beautiful thing for him. Like he went to his boss and was like, "Hey, like I got another opportunity, I got to go." And this dude was fired up for him, you know, because like that was a real relationship. They were homies.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way it should be, you know. And I have to remind myself of that a lot, you know.
Yeah. No, that is how it should be, dude. And plus, if you're, that's what I think. Like if you're saying that to somebody you work with, and they're not pumped for you, it's like it's probably not somebody that you want to.
Exactly. Then you're better off getting lost anyways. I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
Get out of there anyways, you know?
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. I don't know. There's a kid actually there's a couple kids, or one kid that I coached that's going to play at Duke, and his older brother's there now, O'Shell.
Oh yeah, Fran O'Shell. Yeah. Dog. Yeah. He's
who actually, he had a tough year, and I don't really know Fran. Like
he had an injury. He
had an injury. Yeah. I don't know Fran super well, but he went to my high school, played for my high school coach and stuff. But his younger brother is going there as well, Will O'Shell.
Is he a big house like Fran is?
Yeah, he's huge. Yeah. He's like, they're one of those families that has like three boys.
And they're all studs.
And he's the youngest one.
Yeah.
One of them's at Virginia, I think. Yeah. And Fran, yeah. He got drafted. Yeah, he's not even there anymore. I don't know what I'm saying. But
yeah, I mean, he must have gotten drafted. I didn't see, but he's Team USA guy. Like,
yeah.
Throws like a 96-mile-an-hour cut carry heater. Like he did get hurt, and I know he struggled a little bit this past year, but if I was a talent evaluator, which I'm not, like I'm putting my bet on giving him a chance, you know?
Yeah.
You know, we'll see what happens, but
yeah,
he's stud.
Yeah. Dude, so we were talking about this before we started recording too, like you preparing for, like we can talk about it, the podcast itself a little bit, like how you prepare for it, and because it's a similar format to this.
Yeah, totally.
You have a cool studio. You've had on Brenneman, Adam White from
Front
Office Sports, which was cool.
Dude, Adam White's like us too. How did he get going? I saw
you've got a cool story.
On.
Yeah.
But like the way Front Office Sports got born was like Adam just started putting mics in people's faces and interviewing them, and then he got this log of content, and eventually somebody was like, "Dude, we should invest money in this. This is a business." And voila, Front Office Sports is like a private equity backed, very successful media company.
Yeah.
Like, as you know, doing this stuff is at the very least fun, but like worth our time.
Oh, definitely. How do you cut through the noise at this point? You know, like everybody, that's another thing. It's like, oh, he's got a podcast. Like that's
totally
cool, dude. You have a podcast, like another podcast out there. Cause there's so much, I don't want to say BS, but there's like some people just do it just to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. That's might be a cynical view, but you know, it's like, how would you cut through the noise? Cause he did that. When did he start that? I forget. Like, yeah, he was just interviewing people and wanted to start into a sports media company. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tricky, dude, because I work at a venture firm, right? We pride ourselves on like being diligent and having good strategies, and there's a plan to this stuff. It's like thought out, and that stuff matters, and I believe in it. At the same time, it's like those are things that kind of you put in place to guarantee the success of a good product after a good product is already created, right? So for the show, for you, thinking about like a ton of external strategy, like how do you grow? Like who do you care about? Who do you not care about? Like who do I bring? Like a lot of that stuff I think needs to get blocked out, and it needs to just be like art form of I'm building a product, and and I think those things come from when people are being authentic, talking about or building something that they care about. Like that's how being in early stage investing, like that's how you often find really good products and companies, is like the founder wasn't thinking about any of this shit. He didn't care about a lot of stuff, but he was super focused on like this vision for a product and got lost in it. And now there's an opportunity that's investable, and like we need to like foster and help and strategize and think about all these things for like a long-term business. But in those early stages, I think it's like what do you want to talk about? Like, what do you care? What are you gonna get enthusiastic about, and then put your best foot forward with? And like, I think that's like all you need to really do. And then like, just give it a ton of effort. That's how I look at it. And that's how I try and cut through the noise, at least, and I think that answers kind of,
that's a good point,
what you're talking about.
Yeah. Just keep talking about sucking at baseball.
Dude, I talk about like
it's got a good audience.
It's crazy how much I think about sucking at baseball, dude. Because, like I said, I had the car.
Yeah, yeah, dude. That's a good point, and that's actually Dana Cavalier.
I don't think I know who that is.
All right, I guess he was the former strength and conditioning coach for the Yankees.
Okay.
Back when they beat the Phillies.
Episode with you.
Yes. So I just talked to him the other day, reached out to him on LinkedIn, whatever. But he was saying something similar. He's like, dude, you should also just think about like what's the goal, or what are you trying to do with a podcast? Like that was the example he used. He's like, are you trying to do it for recreation, just do it for fun? Or are you trying to ultimately like is it a marketing or sales tactic?
Yeah.
Then you're gonna have a totally different view on it as if you're just doing it.
Totally.
Now, maybe that's something to think about like further down the line, because at this point, I'm still just, I don't know, just doing it. But
yeah,
I liked what you said, though, too, about the quality, because, like it has to be good. Like, I don't know. I'm not just going to record like
totally
crap and just put it out there. You know what I mean? So,
I think, I think that's part of like you being obsessed with your product. It's like what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? And if people want to listen to it, are different questions, and
true.
Dana's question, I think is important. Like you do need to think about it. Like, what am I really doing here? But separating, like, what do I want to talk about and what do people want to listen to? And then trying to, if you can Venn diagram those things and then find the middle, like that's good. That's where you want to probably be. But it has to be something you want to talk about and something you want to like, and then maybe like, it's such an afterthought in your life where it's like, okay, I'll do it a couple times a year and we'll turn the cameras on and I'll have fun. And that's something different. But if you're enthusiastic about it, like, hopefully you can find something you want to talk about that people also want to listen to, I guess. I just don't think like you're going to put out anything that people will continually listen to if you're not enthusiastic about it. Like you going to upgrade into a studio is a good sign for me. Like if I'm like, it's weird. This is how I think about everything now because of just the way JDS Sports is. And like we look at early stage businesses. I'm like, would I bet on this long term? Like that's the way I think about stuff. And like, would I bet on this founder long term? It's just how my brain starts to think about things. But I think for you, it's like, okay, this dude is starting to like take a step up, like that's important to see. Like you care about the product. You want to find the studio. You want to make it look better. Like that's good. That's good. That's you getting lost in the product.
Get outside of my dark room.
Yeah.
But you're right, dude. It's like you kind of, I'm willing to spend whatever it is for this to like put something a little bit better out there because I'm interested in it. And that's just kind of it. Whatever. It goes back to basically everything that we talked about. It's like, if you care about it, then you're probably going to put a little bit more effort into it. And ultimately that's going to show. Like that showed for you getting to Duke, getting to Rutgers, getting to JDS. It's like you gave a shit about it, and the end product, well, it's still a work in progress, but it's good. So
totally.
All right, dude. Did we miss anything that we were talking about before this? What else really?
I don't know. I think that pretty much covers it. I'm trying to think. What kind of questions I have for you, because like I said earlier when I came here, I didn't realize that like you've been at this for a bit, you know.
A little bit.
What do you think the biggest lessons have been? Because I've only done 7 of these. It's a little bit different for us because, like, you know, I'm kind of in a box, which is okay. It kind of gives me direction, and it's something I do care about and like am enthusiastic to talk about. But it's JDS Sports portfolio companies that we want to kind of give a spotlight, and that's the theme of the podcast that I host. So it's a little different, but it also kind of constrains like how many I can churn out, I guess. But I'm like way behind you, and I'm curious like what you've found as your biggest lessons, learnings in doing the podcast.
Yeah,
thing.
no, yeah, for sure. But you're still talking to cool people though, like the guy from Slate Milk. Actually, no, I have
Manny,
my
he's a good
buddy.
guy.
Yeah, that was interesting. You know,
Yeah,
it's like even though it's kind of condensed into a certain thing, you're still the people that you're talking to are still super interesting. I don't know. But
I'm lucky. I mean, dude, JDS Sports has been
it seems like a really
such a good
really cool
opportunity
place.
for me in so many ways, and the opportunity to do the podcast show and get those guests. Like, those people, they're all good people. They probably like if they were friends of mine, I'm sure they would, you know, want to go talk about their business and do a favor and go on my show. But you know, JDS Sports is their investor, so like I kind of have that going for me when getting good guests, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's
it's
true.
you know, it's for you to go hunt guests, like that's more that's more of a credit to you.
Yeah. Well, to your question, that's probably the biggest thing is like that's what I say. I'm never going to be the smartest, like that's for sure. But like if I will follow up with somebody as many times as it'll take, like if I actually want to get that person on.
Yeah, that's good.
So for example, I worked at this place called Alto. Oh wait, which you might be familiar with it because it was Alto IRA.
Yeah,
totally different.
No, I know what
thing.
Alto is.
Like now I'm at Lincoln, like whatever, totally different vibe. Yeah, it's like a startup. But like my manager, who I stay in touch with, his son actually pitches at Tennessee. Stud.
Oh, really?
Going to be like a future first rounder. But
wow,
he said to me, he's like, dude, I really hired you because I wanted you to stop emailing me. He's like, I think I reached out to him like 15 times just because I was like interested in it. I'm like, this guy seems like a great guy to work for.
Brenneman would love this. This is all about Brenneman's just like, just show up, just keep showing.
Well, that's how I got him
piss
on.
Him off.
That's how we opened up our episode. I'm like, dude, it took like 8 months because that dude's flying all around the country.
That dude's a dog, man.
He is. Yeah, he's
a dog. He's
a
dog.
Yeah, but definitely that. Definitely, like we were talking about earlier, like trying to listen to somebody and not just have a thought that you need to answer with.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little bit easier in this setting versus on my laptop that I do it sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to look at your notes, all that stuff. Yeah. And just like trying to be interested and ask questions. Cause the same way, dude, you think about what you want to ask or like, you know what I mean? Or like you're having an agenda for what you want to get out of something versus just asking questions.
I've been going through the same exact thing where like I kind of have like a map and a vision in my head and it's like, oh, this is how it's supposed to go. And then I'm thinking about that rather than being present in the conversation. Like this is easier for me here where like I didn't really prepare for this. Like, you know, you sent me the bullet points. I was like, okay, this is my life. I can talk about this stuff.
See what I meant.
Yeah. But like, but like I didn't even think about that. And like that made this easy. I just like kind of reacted, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like bringing that to my when I'm like have to be you would be beneficial. It's a trust thing though too. It's like, okay, I'm prepared. Like I have all the information. I'm just going to like turn the cameras on and trust that it's going to go into the places it needs to go and be present rather than like, I do catch myself, like you're saying, thinking the whole time through, like, okay, where are we going next? Am I going to get to this? How much time do we have left? And that takes away from me hearing what's being said to me.
Yeah. You know? The reaction.
Yeah.
The authentic reaction, asking questions. So, all right, dude. Well, appreciate you again. I'll let you run. Yeah, this is awesome, man. I hope the Mets lose.
I hope they don't, dude. But It's just so good, dude.
It's got to be exciting for you. Like the Mets have stunk for a while.
Yeah.
Phillies had this great run, and they haven't gotten over the hump.
Yeah,
I don't know if they will
sports,
at this
Philly
point.
sports are an interesting spot, dude, where you guys are
Yeah.
like really good, but
so good, but
it just hasn't converted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In New York, yeah. Well, when was the Mets? I remember
2015.
It was 2015, the Royals.
Yeah, I flew home from college and went to that World Series. My dad made a promise to me he probably didn't think was actually going to happen. He's like, yeah, if the Mets get to the World Series, you're flying home. We're going. And it happened. He flew me home, and good for him for keeping his word. He usually does. He's good at that. And we went to 2015 World Series. We saw Daniel Murphy make an error at second base.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
In like the 8th or 9th. Lost the game. And that was 9 years ago, which makes me feel old because it feels like it was yesterday.
It does feel like it was just yesterday. Yeah. Well, they kind of have the 2022 Phillies vibes right now. Like just they're hot.
Yeah, dude. I'm not holding my breath. You've watched as a Phillies fan us collapse.
I'll keep jinxing it.
Yeah, you're familiar with our collapses, so we'll see what happens. But it's been a lot of fun.
Good luck.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. Yeah, well,
thanks for
it's great.
dude.
Yeah.